knowledge
is power. Is an age-old saying which in today's world is often exploited by all of the greatest fake gurus, as they suggest that only they have the secret knowledge that if you pay for their masterclass or you join their seminar, they will give you the powerful advantage over those who are less informed.
The world is not anymore the way it used to be. No. Be connected. Wow!
Believe that the only difference between you and I, from you going from 3,000 a month to 30,000 a month, is because you don't have the knowledge or the information to do so.
Usually resulting in a promise of financial freedom. But these aren't new tactics here, because this strategy of controlling knowledge in exchange for power and profit has existed for centuries. In this video, we're going back to a time when only the elite and the top of society were fortunate enough to be able to read and write. A time when the monarchs around Europe and the Catholic Church had a complete monopoly over knowledge and power. We'll understand how and why the printing press arrived and flipped the script, leading us into the modern information age as we know it today, where if you're smart enough and you're talented enough, your worth can be measured by your thoughts, not just your bloodline. It will be too simple to say that the printing press simply churned out books. It literally sparked a renaissance of thinkers, skeptics and dreamers, agents of change, who weren't just fed information but dared to question it. We'll discover how this, in hindsight, not so secret weapon ignited the age of enlightenment by shifting the power dynamics and helping to reduce the inequality that was so clearly built into the system. To make this game called life a little more fair by showing us that knowledge isn't just power, it's empowerment. During the early Middle Ages, books were rare and expensive, with each one being a handcrafted artifact, with every page being painstakingly handwritten by scribes who were in high demand. And who exactly were these scribes? They were often monks cooped up in monasteries, and due to the immense cost and labour involved, they were usually funded by the church's deep pockets. From monasteries to universities to the halls of the ultra-rich. And while education was generally limited, there were glimmers of educational progress like cathedral schools which popped up around the 11th century, initially created to educate clergy. And by the 12th century, these schools began to open their doors just a little bit more to let in some middle class kids as long as their parents' silver coins wouldn't bounce. Yet for the vast majority, the common folk, like farmers, traders and artisans, education remained a distant dream, out of reach and out of sight. This made it easier for the powers that be to maintain power. Because as we all know today, if you control the information, you control the narrative.
The internet allows you to doctor videos and other content to make it seem like something has been said or something has been done that actually isn't true.
In the aftermath of the 2016 election, we saw how obviously fake stories could spread faster and more persuasively than many true ones.
Try accessing Facebook or Twitter from inside China and you get this message. Even publications like the New York Times are blocked.
So before the printing press, books weren't just books. They were symbols of power which were hoarded by those perched at the top of the social ladder. Most of the knowledge for the masses spread through oral tradition and hands-on apprenticeships. It was literally a world where your destiny is written the moment that you're born, yet you probably couldn't read it, as you were shackled by the chains of restricted knowledge. But as we trek along the Silk Road, we trace the route of a groundbreaking invention from Asia to Europe. The printing press was about to crash the party.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh yeah!
Shattering the monopoly of power. While Europeans were still handwriting books, the Chinese were literally printing paper, as they had already advanced with printing techniques as early as the 7th century. The first known printed text appeared in China during the first millennium AD. This period also saw the use of woodblock and metal block printing in Japan and Korea, mainly for Buddhist and Taoist texts. These techniques transformed the traditional scroll into more durable book form texts, and by the 7th Song dynasty, books were widespread in Chinese society. It wasn't until 150 years after Korea's Choi Yun-ui developed metal block printing that Europe would see its own revolution. Johannes Gutenberg revolutionized the process of printing further in the 15th century with the invention of his printing press. His press utilized movable metal type and an ink mechanism inspired by wine and linen presses. This significantly enhanced printing efficiency and slashed costs, while Gutenberg is often credited with inventing the printing press. His key innovation was the screw mechanism that automated the ink transfer to paper, which allowed the production of approximately 250 sheets per hour, making books affordable and accessible, laying the foundation for widespread literacy and the Renaissance. His magnus opus, the Gutenberg Bible, became one of the first major books mass-produced. Unfortunately for Gutenberg, he didn't live long enough to see the full success of his invention, as he died impoverished with his technology spreading after his death, when German printers introduced it to Venice, a major trade hub. But on the bright side, this widespread adoption of Gutenberg's press marked the dawn of the printing revolution, forever changing access to information, which is why we all need to forget about the flying cars and the robot butlers and give more shine to the invention that truly changed the world, the machine that could print rebellion. The printing press is usually argued as one of the most important innovations of all time for a good reason, as it basically changed the entire world. Not only did the machine dramatically speed up book production while also slashing the cost, with cities that embraced the press turning into intellectual hotspots, boosting their economies as books became the new must-haves. Funnily, this literacy boom also sparked a surge in demand for reading glasses, because it turns out that a lot of people were far-sighted and didn't actually know it until they had to read. And if you're curious about how this led to breakthroughs in glass technology, check out this episode on the epic story of glass. This widespread adoption of the printing press meant that revolutionary ideas could now survive the pariah, because while the old power could burn a heretic or send them to the guillotine, they couldn't burn every copy of his books. This was highlighted in 1501 when Pope Alexander VI promised to excommunicate anyone for unsanctioned printing. But this only fueled the fire, because when the church would set a list of prohibited reads, all the booksellers in town would know what the next bestseller would be. This was highlighted only 2 decades later when Martin Luther's rebellious writings didn't just circulate, they went viral, triggering the Protestant Reformation. The printing press turned his thesis from what would have been church door decorations into Luther becoming Europe's first best-selling author. In addition to giving the powerless a more powerful voice, the printing press also handed the keys of invaluable ancient wisdom from the great philosophers right into the hands of the general public, dramatically leveling the societal playing field, because as literacy soared, so did critical thinking and the demand for public education, shaking the very foundations of the old power structures. Next we'll uncover how the printing press laid the groundwork for the information age, proving that sometimes the mightiest power lies not in the sword, not in the pen, in this case the press. Historian Elizabeth Eisenstein hit the nail on the head in her 1980 book, when she highlighted that the real gift of the printing press to science wasn't just the speedy spread of ideas, but the pinpoint accuracy that data was preserved. Before the press, science was like trying to solve a puzzle in the dark, with hand-copied data being often riddled with errors. The printing press changed the game, with scientists finally being able to trust the data that they read. No more Chinese whispers with the mathematical and periodic tables, freeing them up to make new discoveries rather than double-checking their sources. It revolutionized collaboration by enabling scientists to build on each other's work across continents. This machine didn't just transmit ideas over long distances, it literally created a world where ideas were free to travel. And fast forward to today and we're still riding the wave that Gutenberg started, with the flow of information transforming from a breeze to a storm. It's fair to say that without Gutenberg's innovation, our modern hyper-connected world, where anyone, regardless of whether they should or shouldn't, is able to X a thought or publish a video to YouTube, might have taken a lot longer to arrive. And over the last 600 to 700 years, print technology has evolved significantly. With today's newspapers often using offset printing, these modern presses can churn out about 70,000 sheets per hour, which is about 280 times what Gutenberg could handle. But it is important to look back and appreciate the fact that it's amazing that we now live in an era where we probably have too much information. We no longer have to trek to a library or wait for an ocean of books just to find information. You can literally just open your computer and a quick Google search will flood you with answers. You can go down the rabbit hole into any topic without leaving your couch. However, I do believe that it's important to beware of the self-proclaimed knowledge gurus. who thrive on our innate trust by repackaging readily available information as secret wisdom that only they can impart. And as we have evolved from physical demanding work like farming and factory work, it's no longer just the biggest and strongest that thrive in our society, but the most consistent and clever. As Maya Angelou wisely said, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Thank you for joining me in another video. I hope you enjoyed this and you learnt a lot. And if you did enjoy this video, then please leave a like and subscribe.